After 2 rounds of brilliant action, it now turns here to the 3rd round of 4 in back-to-back consecutive weeks here. It's 26 kilometers, it's 170 turns, and it's arguably the greatest challenge that a driver will ever face in the world of motorsports today. It's the Nordic Challenge here from the Nürburgring. Next.
Åh, vad tråkigt. Det här måste du fixa på en gång, annars blir det dyrt.
Steinsprut får du uansett hvordan du kjører. Ris Bilglass fikser steinsprut kostnadsfritt ved kasko eller delkasko. Ring 0909 eller besøk bilglass.no.
Formula has seen itself to be pretty simple in the early goings of the championship, but of course, with only a 4-race championship, half distance came along and has gone very quickly. Now we head in towards the closing acts of this play here this afternoon here. The Nordic Challenge then here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacing Live, is here at the Nürburgring for the 24-hour layout for what will be a 45-minute blitz around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is hashtag Do You Mind Jake Sperry in the commentary booth. A little bit of a lonely hashtag Do You Mind Jake Sperry. Unfortunately, I don't have the long locks and the lovely Rachel Whitefoot here alongside me here this afternoon. But of course, the action will continue on regardless. Worth talking, though, about championship standings, how they look in the course of the action right now. And well, as far as things stand in the Drivers' Championship, it is a top 5 1-5 here for Finland at the moment. It's Joni Heikkinen who holds the advantage of 18 points with back-to-back victories. Juuso Hietala in second place. Mikko Nurmi tied in a 3-way tie for third with himself, Taitanen, and also Vastamäki as well. And that, though, it is Norway 6 and 7, Tor Anders Bøveren and Andrew Learning, proving that consistency is going to be the key. Worth noting, only one Danish driver inside the top 10, and Sweden drivers only start outside top 11. We're talking about Constructors' Championship then as well. That can be wrapped up today, as can the Drivers' Championship. Finland hold the lead on 626, Norway second on 417, Sweden on 269 further back, Denmark on a paltry 81, and Iceland drivers have failed to turn up to an event so far. So, in terms of the championship standings, those are how they look. And of course, here we're just a few moments away from getting ourselves started for 45 minutes here of racing action today. And while the Nürburgring Nordschleife is the most difficult challenge of all, 26 kilometers of track with 170 turns, which each to their own could cause themselves an issues here and there. Of course, this Porsche 911 will seek to be an incredibly difficult challenge, of course, recently added to the likes of, say, VLN. But we are going to get ourselves gridded up, and this is how the field is going to look. No surprises then, Joni Heikkinen on pole position overall. He's joined on the front row by the driver of Kim Eriksson. Juuso Haitala and Mikko Nurmi round out row number 4, making it a front 4 lockout for Black Star Racing. And then you see on the third row, Sindre Sestas and also Jonas Olsen Puhakka from Glacier Racing, our good friend over there at Glacier Racing. Row 4 sees Mikko Ruskola and Wilhelm Wiberg. Row 5 will see Kim Salverson and Dali Jankovic, and the rest of the drivers will be circulating down on your field right now. It's worth noting 32 drivers will be starting the grid here at the Nürburgring. Of course, all drivers coming from the Scandinavia region to prove which one is going to be the best overall in terms of the racing. 45 minutes, 1 pit stop will be required, so I don't think we're going to see too much differentiation in terms of strategy today. Lights are on, lights are out though, and we are underway here at the Nordschleife, and it's a very good start for Joni Heikkinen. And then, as you can see, already defensive moves into a very tight and difficult turn number 1 there. Sestas couldn't do much as the car goes straight on then down at turn number 1. I believe that is Puhakka who has run into issues very early on then in terms of the action. 4 wide now in the middle of your pack and struggling clearly on the cold tyres. That was Jules Puhakka, involved 3 wide though, still in the middle as Salverson backs out between Vastamarki and Joaquin Svensson there, just getting himself around in terms of racing, but no real dramas at the front of the field. The front 4 have stayed the way that they normally do in Black Star Racing, at the front and doing a very good job of things to begin with here. And as things stand, we do have a few cars running off there towards the back of the field. A massive crash there. The likes of, say, Robin Sundqvist getting himself a little bit tangled up in that. And that was all down to the driver of, I believe, Patrick Nyborg and Matthias Norling coming together there. And actually, there was a car flipping up and over. 2 cars ended up on their roofs as a result of that incident, down into that very difficult right-hander that tries to eat you up and spit you out. It was the 46 machine that actually got the big flip when all was happening there. And of course, that 46 is Michael Tonseth there, having a very, very difficult berth to a very difficult race. Side by side, though, as Puhakka tries to go down the inside of Erling Bachmer there, but not able to make anything happen on the run into NGK. Of course, Blancpain chicane we are seeing right now, not the Grand Prix layout chicane, making life just a little bit easier for these Porsche 911s as they head onto the Nordschleife section for the very first time in the GSAM Strecker layout here. Haitala then trying to put the pressure on Kim Eriksson, but it's a certain Joni Heikkinen that has broken away as per usual at the front. Eriksson running a little bit too ragged there, just clipped the grass slightly on the run down into this very difficult braking zone into the right-hander for Kim Eriksson here. It's a case of just trying to hold on to the vehicle. He knows his teammates will be trying to put the pressure on. But of course, with Black Star 1, 2, 3, and 4, they don't want to jeopardize things. Remember Zandvoort 2 weeks ago? The incident coming out of pit road was certainly one which no driver would have wanted. But of course, Sindre Sestas there will be looking to try and improve a different factor here in this event. He now sits in 5th position as they head in towards Flugplatz. It's very difficult up the hill right-hander for getting yourself onto the power before you head towards Swedish Cross. And well, for Sestas here, he's doing a good job of holding on to the back here of Mikko Nurmi. Doesn't have to make the move just yet. Of course, 45 minutes and a lap time of about 8 minutes here will mean that we'll see probably about 6 or 7 laps in the event going on. Puhakka still trying to put the issue on Salvenson right now here in the 365 machine on the brakes as they head into Arenberg. A little bit of brake dust getting up ahead of him and a little bit of a slide from Bachmer there. So that was another position lost actually for Jules Puhakka compared to Kim Salverson. And Salverson now trying to put the pressure on through the foxhole. Now looking towards here, the corner of compression is going to back out of it there, but Puhakka's not going to have anything of it right up to the rear of the driver of Salverson, but it's just going to wait then as they head into Ardenner first for the very first time in this event. Of course, it is worth noting here, ladies and gentlemen, that the series has a few sponsors here. RaceSpotTV AS is one of those sponsors, Norway's leading car glass franchise with over 110 departments spread across the whole country. It replaces and repairs glass on any road-going vehicle with guaranteed professional customer service and work as well. And a crash with the 47 there at the end of the sponsor plug. So might need a bit of respill glass there, and that is Jonas Puhakka who we were looking at then having that big issue, and well, was trying to go for a very opportunistic move out of Ardenner first. There was 4 wheels off the grass, and well, that is a very weird one there. once he was committed, he decided to go for the Evan Sol route for those who were watching the Nürburgring 24 Hours about a month ago. And actually, there's another crasher just ahead of that, and that is Joachim Svensson there in the 5 machine that's run into issues, into a very difficult corner there. Down the hill, left-hander turns the car around, and of course, the corner is always aiding top speed through that section. So for Svensson, that's not the end result wanted. Falls behind Pyhäkkä and Markku Manninen. So a long way back then in terms of trying to get back into this race right now. But the early goings here, you can see the field just stretching out a little bit here. Look at the front 4. Well, it's pretty self-explanatory as things stand, but Setsas, we saw him at the circuit of Zandvoort looking to try and fight with Tommy Osgaard, but we didn't see him, though, at the second race of the season, which was last weekend. This weekend, though, he's looking to try and do a different strategy into Bravery Corner here, this difficult left-hander that always looks to try and put the pressure on drivers. And, well, for Sindre Sestas, he took the Bravery quite well here on the brakes now into the long right-hander. And, well, one of the most famous corners in all of motorsport awaits these two drivers, and that is the fabled carousel here. Left-hand corner, banked all the way, concrete, not tarmac, very crucially. And once you get offline through there, you know that there is going to be no hope going back. No opportunity then to make the move happen here. But look at this train in the mid-path of your field here right now. All stacked up behind Markku Manninen, who actually runs wide there through the carousel. And just proving my adage there, Pyhäkkä makes a very easy move through. Salverson now will look to try and get himself back into fight. So will Joachim Svensson. You see, this is where the conglomeration of all the drivers who had those incidents early on the event are hitting, as they now hit this very difficult and very fast-paced final section of the circuit around Hoheacht and areas like that. Because this is final area of the circuit you always try and take for granted. In my terms of driving at the Nordschleife, this is the part of the circuit I struggle with. With such a long circuit, you try and remember every single corner. It's very difficult to do. Svensson still looking on the back of Salvenson then here of the 365 machine, just trying to make that move, trying to make something happen, and not able to do so at the moment. Well, for the time being, it's going to stay line astern for the moment. Salverson still trying to make that move on Markku Manninen in the 222 machine. Has a little look, but isn't going to be close enough just yet. Needs a little bit of straight here to really work an advantage. And, well, the advantage for these drivers is that in the final stages of this one, they have a massive straight known as the Dottinger Hoofd. And the Dottinger Hoofd will be the key to making overtake after overtake, as Heikkinen right now rounds himself through this left-hander. This mini carousel then will embrace him next then. Left-hander there at about 140 kilometers now before getting yourself back up onto the power, and a right-hander then remains then. This long looping right-hander, just trying to make sure that you just get the power on as early as you possibly can before getting yourself onto the long Dottinger Hoofd. Nurmi under a lot of pressure here in the 76 machine. Sindre Setsas is right in range, but didn't have the best of sections there in the final goings. Already moving to the right-hand side of the circuit here, and is going to stay on that right-hand side. That gap has opened up to about a second between the pair, so that means that the draft is not going to be as effective. Of course, we saw in the Nürburgring 24 Hours just how effective the Porsche 911 can be. The likes of Lauren Heinrich's Pure Racing team and the likes of the Huizenvelco Motorsports team proving that in class they could certainly get up towards the top of the field. There was a time where they were looking at potentially a third place in class overall, but not close enough there for Sestas, as he couldn't quite close down on the slipstream. Will need to find another area to make something happen here. And you can see Pyhäkkä's broken away. Manninen holds it from Svensson and Salverson, so Salverson's lost the position into Joachim Svensson in the early goings of this one. And of course, you talk about there being not many laps in this event, it also puts a little bit of emphasis on the driver to make moves maybe a little bit quicker than they would anywhere else, despite the fact that this circuit is a lot longer than it is in other areas. As they look to cross the line here, this train of three battle going on for about 11th position, you could argue here, in the early goings. As actually that is Vastamaki getting involved in an incident with Puheka down to turn number 1. He drives back onto oncoming traffic, but just gets himself out of the way just in time. Let's get a replay up and see exactly what happened there. And well, for me, Puheka just down in on the brakes, both of them down in on the brakes, so they didn't actually make contact between each other. Both of them just starting to follow each other there. So taking an eye out on their braking markers and making sure something's happened. Looking, though, back at Markku Manninen and Salverson trying everything to get himself past right now there in the 365 machine. Unable to do it as they head towards the Dunlop hairpin there. Not close enough, but there are mistakes happening here just ahead as Puheka takes a turn around there, trying to get past the mistaking Joachim Svensson there. So Puheka's day is going from bad to worse. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, a 23-point incident limit could see the end of Puheka's race. And for Finland, if they want to take the title, they've got to hope that drivers like that aren't making those sorts of mistakes. But they have the knowledge, though, that they have the top 3 positions now sorted out, because Mikko Nurmi has lost the position to Sindre Sestas then as they look to aggressively attack the Nordschleife now. This very difficult early goings of section that we are seeing of this Nordschleife circuit. Get yourself onto the power and get yourself working here as you head towards Hatzenbach and Hoiken and the Quiddlebacker Ho as well here. So you can see now heading towards Hatzenbach, now left-handers, and then this difficult left on the brakes right. Just trying to feed the throttle, get on the power. Of course, the track no wider than 2 wide in sections, so that's always going to be a difficulty with this Nordschleife. But overtaking on the Nordschleife is always going to be a challenge in terms of the racing action. Looking further back, though, we do have a battle still going on as Herzog now onto the back of Salverson and Manninen right now. Manninen seemingly being the anchor, shall we say, the cork in the proverbial bottle, as they all look to battle around and against each other here in the early goings. For Salverson, though, he'll be looking to try and get a good run up towards the likes of, say, Flugplatz, up to the likes of, say, Arenberg. Arenberg will be a better opportunity to make the move happen. You can see not close enough into the corner of what is Flugplatz. They're running a little bit wide there. Very fortunate, you could argue there. Missed the apex by a good fair margin, and now will struggle in the slipstream as they head towards this corner. Behind that, though, Eriksson under pressure from Robin Sundqvist then, as the 7 machine looks to put the pressure on the 31, who's already managed to get past. Side by side they're going to go. No, Sundqvist thinks better of it as they head to Swedish Cross, but has a little look down to the inside, turns to the outside at Arenberg, and well, that's a gift. There's 1 position, and potentially 2 as well, as Svensson there, who's made the mistakes earlier on in the second lap, trying to get past Eriksson, unable to do it now as they head towards the foxhole and compression for the second time. Behind that, though, Puheka's going to get a little bit impatient. Maybe the red mist has already descended in his driving here, but isn't going to be able to make that move early on. Watch for him out of Ardenau first. There was an incident earlier on. Actually, Carl will spin off in front of them. Little bit of tag contact, and that is, I believe, 23 incident points already hit there, I do believe. And that is the driver of Robin Sundqvist there, getting turned around in the early goings. A little bit of a tap, and game over then for Robin Sundqvist. That is the end of his racing then in terms of what has been happening. But Kim Eriksson now right on the back of Joni Heikkinen. So Heikkinen's just lifted off the gas potentially. Maybe made a mistake somewhere to allow Eriksson back through, because there was a 1.1 second gap when they crossed the line start-finish line. But of course, there's been about 10 kilometers worth of action, aka 3 laps in a normal circuit. So that's brought itself back in. Of course, don't count out Sestas versus Nurmi here in the battle for 4th and 5th position on circuit. This one very crucial here, because Sindre Sestas probably flying the flag for every other team in this battle going on. Close is the battle here. Nurmi just needs to just sit patiently, get himself into this one then, as we look at the battle for the race lead. Kim Eriksson then putting a little bit of pressure on his teammate here, right tucked up underneath, and you can see Heikkinen actually taking 2 tires onto the grass to make sure that he just shortens that line as much as he can. And you can see here Blackstar versus Blackstar, Finland versus Finland. To the inside goes Kim Eriksson as they look for the lead in that Bravery corner. They both managed to survive, and you can just see there Joni Heikkinen just using every little inch of the road and a little bit more there as he ran all 4 wheels off of the circuit at that part of the track. That is something that is very unadvisable and almost ended in calamity. Matti Kaida Soja is out of the event as well. So For him, that is not what he wanted in that one. But for Kim Eriksson here, the pressure's still putting on a fight here, looking at that carousel. And of course, we do need to talk about pit stop strategy. Of course, we are expecting drivers to come in and around the same time. Maybe lap 3 seems the only advantage. Lap 4, potentially you could stretch, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, potentially you could stretch that one up over in towards a 4-lap stint. But you are risking the fuel then quite a lot in a 45-minute race to get yourself over to lap 4 at around the half an hour mark, shall we say. 33 minutes here as Nurmi puts a lot more pressure here in this section on Sindre Setsas, but is not able to make anything happen then in the goings there. Of course, this isn't a part of the circuit that you normally make a move on. You're really just trying to run in the coattails of the driver in front of you, trying to get that toe and hoping you're there for the likes of the Stefan Bell S and, of course, that Dottinger Hove here. As you can see, a little bit of gravel on the outsides. Of course, not much to slow a vehicle down, but just enough. And you could argue that in the modern day and age, you wouldn't be able to see a circuit like this being developed with all the health and safety that goes on around it. But Nordschleife is its own challenge here, just trying to get around this 26-kilometer circuit. Some say that finishing is the biggest achievement rather than winning the race. Of course, everyone would love to win the race, wouldn't they? Kim Eriksson then has just dropped off ever so slightly then on your race leader of Joni Heikkinen. Heikkinen looking for 3 race wins in 3 consecutive races, looking to wrap up the title away from Eriksson as well. Eriksson now will round this mini carousel, looking to get close into the draft. Of course, we had a fantastic end to the 24 hours of the Nürburgring, and that corner there, that mini carousel, was the difference between victory and failure for Vendaval Sim Racing against the Pure Racing Team Black Machine. Eriksson's in range, though. He has the draft as he looks to try and close down in on the Dottinger Hove under the Audi Sport little footbridge that we see, and already a move to the right-hand side to try and break the toe from the driver of Joni Heikkinen. Heikkinen moves left again. Of course, no FIA rules. You can move as much as you want, so he moves to the right once again to try and break Eriksson. And Eriksson, very slowly as they pass the tourist entrance, moves to the right-hand side to try and cover it there. Very clever driving then from the driver of Joni Heikkinen, trying to break that draft to make sure that there isn't enough overspeed for Eriksson to close down. Eriksson couldn't do it in the end as they head through the final couple of corners. That will be the end of the lap then. Christian Rosen Nielsen then is out of the event as well in the goings going on. So a few issues then in the early stages. Puheka will be looking to try and get past Borge Burns now here in the battle for, I believe, 16th position. Can't be too sure of that at the moment. So Borge Burns looking to try and hold on to this, but there is a little bit of waiting behind from Puheka. Maybe a bit of damage as well on that Glacier Racing vehicle, and there is a lot of damage on the Glacier Racing vehicle, and you wouldn't be surprised to see Puheka a little bit slower in a straight line, unable to make anything happen then at the moment. Still quite a few surprising names up towards the front of the field here as we are looking at what has been going on. Eriksson has had to stay behind Heikkinen just for the moment, but we still have some good battles here. The battle for 6th position still going on. Mika Ruskola looking to try and put the pressure on the 29 machine on the number 2 of Wilhelm Wiberg here, and Wiberg really trying to get a good run. He's +2 for the day here at the moment here in what is going to be 6th position at the moment. 10 seconds off of Mikko Nurmi and Seth Stas' battle, but that just shows you the difference here between the drivers at the top and the drivers towards the midfield then of this event right now. As you say that, Ruskola's going to turn and do a 90-degree pivot down at Dunlop. Gets himself just about turned around and back up to pace. He was fortunate he had a gap there towards Erling Bachmer and also Dali Jankovic as well. So we'll now have to do that work all over again. Wiberg will be very happy in the fact that he's managed to now manifest himself about a 10-second gap in terms of what has gone on. We have got 4 cars then that have run into issues here in that second lap, like Toranders Berven and Matthias Bengston dropping himself down onto pit lane early. Not the day that Matthias Bengston wanted. Of course, it is also worth noting here that the series is also sponsored by CUAS, a Norwegian company as well, located in southern Norway. CU engineers and delivers complete surveillance solutions to state buildings, grocery stores, small companies, industry and private housing as well, with high focus on new technology, preparing them for the future. So CU.AS then doing a good job of things here, sponsoring the Nordic Challenge here of racing going on at the Nordschleife for this third round. And for the moment, all is starting to come down a little bit. Cestas under a little bit of pressure still, though, from Mikko Nurmi in the battle for fourth position as they head up towards the corner of Flugplatz here. Mikko Nurmi now just needs to get a good run. Maybe he's just waiting on the fuel here, just trying to save that number, go that extra lap longer in terms of the racing going on. And for Nurmi, he's close, and he will have the ability to use that toe to his advantage. Already a defensive line by Cestas. Moves to the right-hand side to take natural racing lines. They head towards Swedish Cross here in this left-hander. You can see a lot of curve being taken by Mikko Nurmi. You don't want to be too aggressive here with these high-rise curves. They have the ability to just completely unsettle a Porsche 911, it has to be said. But again, Nurmi just sitting back, waiting, not making the move then as they headed through the foxhole. Now this left-hander of compression up the hill. Left-hander, very difficult. Touch right in underneath. Ardner first, just a little bit after that. And now into Ardner first they head, slowing the car down more and more. And well, for the time being, they stay in position of P4 and 5 just for now. Worth looking further back, though, here at these battles continuing. Puhekka's run into issues, so he will be out of this event as things stand here. Just looking for some more battles. Hans-Gunnar Hansen then in the 3, chasing down Roger Berge in the 30. It may pay just to be a little bit more conservative here in your approach. And, well, for these two drivers, conservativeness has worked for them because they are +5 and +4. Well, actually, they're both +4 when they last crossed the line. Unable, in my position, to work out where they are at the moment. By my reckoning, they would be in about P17, P18. In front of that, Martin Teilgaard there and Robert B. Eriksson, both at it here at the end of the Ardner first section. Now looking at this looping long left-hand corner here. That left-hand corner, of course, will be one to look out for. Megsgetsfeld there, as I butcher another name here at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. You know, they could have made it easier for us, you know. They give us Finnish names, they give us a German circuit, and the pronunciations go completely out the window, ladies and gentlemen. But the action doesn't seem to leave us here. Eriksson close then to Teilgaard then as they head through this difficult right-hander. Miss, and miss for Teilgaard as he just slams into the Armco barrier on the outside. And that, ladies and gentlemen, might be a very hefty bit of contact, which should have been taken advantage by Eriksson. Eriksson taking the conservative approach then, not wanting to waste his own race, it seems, after that incident. Salveson, though, still looking to put the pressure on Mannanen. Ahead of that is Vastamarki and Dali Jankovic. Of course, Vastamarki up there in the championship on consistency value, doing a very good job of things right now. But Sindre Cestas as well in the 18. Still ahead there of Mikko Nurmi, still proving that he can hold his own then as they head through that difficult long section. Now looking towards the carousel, these two drivers go, and well, it might be a time to come down onto pit road this time by. Around 24 minutes would have marked the halfway stage in the event, and I wouldn't put it past a couple of drivers actually drop themselves down onto pit road in the early goings here. I mean, it's not as if it's too difficult here to really make a pit stop strategy call. It's either one lap or it's the next here, so not too much dissimilarity, but still, though, we might see a couple of drivers maybe spluttering, maybe choking towards the line a little bit. Worth noting that Kim Eriksson is still there with the driver of Heikkinen, and Heikkinen seems to just have that ability to maximize a corner a little bit more in the battle for the race lead here as they head through this very difficult final few corners of the circuit right now, as they just look to round themselves into, I believe, the ice curve here is the next one that they're trying to deal with in just a couple of moments. So they now hit this really aggressive section. You get this downhill compression, up the hill again, hit the brakes, hope that the air is not passing underneath the car too much to get a little bit of height, and then you are now hitting the power full throttle almost up towards the end of the circuit here. 230 kilometers an hour for Joni Heikkinen through the Stefan Beloff S before really looking to try and attack it. A gap about 5/10 of a second here on the brakes, left, right-hander even, which leads into this left-hand section. And then that mini carousel heading into its effect. Heikkinen just holding the advantage here, just keeping calm. But Ericsson a lot closer than he was last time, but needs to really maximize the run out to this corner. Maybe wait on this opening section and then get the drive. There's two ways to take the corner. You either go aggressive in the first pass of the apex and then just try and hold it off for the second part, or you can go aggressive on the second part instead of the first. Already the weaving, though, has begun for Heikkinen. Ericsson just going to sit behind and catch, and a very decisive move there. Went to the left and thought, no, going to go to the right again. Ericsson trying to close in at 280 kilometers an hour. There's a 5k difference here down the straight, about 2 miles an hour. And you can see that gap just closing in, then up the hill. Ericsson within 0.2 of a second under the Bilstein Bridge, but not close enough to get a move. Looking to try and pull alongside, but unable to pull alongside. The question will be, will they drop themselves down onto pit road? This time by in through the right, in through the left. And they'll both come in then in terms of the racing. So they couldn't go 4 laps. They'll decide to only go 3. And now it's a battle of pit crews as they play chicken with the pit stop line. All about who comes in and who makes that stop. Haitala joins on pit road. Nurmi's fallen back actually from Sindre Sestas, and Sestas will drop himself on the lane. So will Nurmi. I think no one could go 4 laps here. And look at Ericsson and Heikkinen, both nose to tail as they will hit their stops at exactly the same time. In fact, Ericsson ever so slightly won that battle as they both were inch perfect getting themselves onto that stop. They got to fill it up with fuel. No tyres here. Of course, we're only going 45 minutes. You expect the tyres to go an hour, and Ericsson gets the jump. So Kim Ericsson gets a fantastic jump on Joni Heikkinen. Heikkinen had nothing to argue with in terms of that battle going on. And Viberg on pit road, Ruskola on pit road, 4-car train on pit road, Salverson at the back, Manon and Vastamaki and Jankovic all there in that one. And, well, an easy one for Sestas to get out and away. Mikko Nurmi out and away as well. So this is actually really interesting here in this battle at the front of the field, because Kim Ericsson of Black Star Racing arguably has been the figurehead of that team. Arguably is the name that most people know when it comes to Black Star Racing. But in terms of overall pace, Joni Heikkinen is the quicker driver, has won both races this season. Heikkinen's got his work cut out now, because it's not going to be a case of, oh, let's Schumacher Barrichello 2002 this thing at Austria. They're going to fight each other to the end. And they're not going to want to take each other out. Of course, there's a team's championship they could win. They've got the top 3 secured in that one. So for Finland, that's exactly what they want. But in terms of elsewhere, there isn't too much. Side-by-side actually out of pit road as Dali Jankovic probably had a drive-through penalty of sorts, or say a 15-second stop and hold, because he's out with Borge Burns, who butchers the exit, then will have to go incredibly tight in through turn number 2. Outside line, though, taken by Jankovic. He will lose the position overall. Hans-Gunnar Hansen then has got the jump on Roger Berge as well out of pit road. And that's another driver then that's been struggling. That's Erling Bachmer, who has come out a little bit later. Maybe he also played chicken with the line just a little bit more as well. The last of the drivers then heading themselves to the finish line, the likes of Mikael Johansson then going to stay out a little bit longer here. So for Mikael Johansson, he lost a little bit of time, but he's going to be able to keep himself out on circuit, keep himself going in terms of the racing action. Worth noting, though, the gaps are starting to just open up here. You look about the battle, or the time difference between first and sixth when they last crossed the line, about 36 seconds. And you don't normally say that around the circuit after 3 laps of racing, 36 seconds. But 36 seconds around the Nordschleife is probably about 5, maybe 10 seconds. You could argue it's about 8, really, here in terms of differences in time between one circuit and the rest. Vastamaki, though, just gets himself onto the Nordschleife. Has Salverson and Mannanen behind. Mannanen has been bumped off of the train. Actually missing an apex there was Vastamaki then, who needs all the points he can for the championship. Of course, is doing it very well in terms of consistency. Salverson will be looking to try and apply the pressure here as they head towards Hasenbach. Left, then right, then onto the brakes they go. And well, for the moment, Salverson holding on to things right now. Let's get ourselves on board then with Kim Salverson, and let's go RaceSpotTV fan immersion. starts to put the pressure on a little bit is the driver of Kim Salvinson there, but it's a very good defense at the moment from Västemark as they head through hit, miss, hit. Of course, sometimes with me, it's miss, miss, miss in terms of the way that you take this corner. So for Västemark, holding on to things for the moment here in the Nordic Challenge here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. A reminder that in just about an hour and a quarter, we have, of course, the iRacing Indy 500 coming to you from Indianapolis as Västemark turns himself around in excitement for the Indy 500. And, well, that's not going to be easy. A million-point turn going to be done, but had the gap to do it there to Porsche Birds. They're a little bit behind, but an incident that happened, of course, the Indy 500. We've never had an Indy 500 finish under caution. We've never had an Indy 500 won by the same guy twice. Make sure you tune in with Will Vincent, Randy Cheneth, and Cisco Scaramuza for a absolutely beautiful race here as one of iRacing's special marquee events. Of course, you also have to talk about the championship here and the go on. Of course, there are prizes for first, second, and third here, likes of $50, $30, and $20, with a random prize of a Lucas dashcam from CU. Of course, you don't get the little lady, shall we say, on the box, but you get the dash cam, which is always going to be helpful. And of course, 2 other random prizes of $15 are there as well. Drivers, of course, only eligible for 1 prize overall. So, racing action, of course, for a little bit of prize money, adds a little bit of emphasis, a few more stakes, maybe tempers raised a little bit when cash comes into play, because everyone wants a little bit more money. That's just the way that the world works here. The gaps are starting to open up, and Heikkinen is still there with the driver Kim Eriksson, not able to really get onto the back here. Eriksson's pulled out about a second, I would imagine here. Maybe there'd be enough toe to just get the fringes of it down the Dosjehof. And actually, there's a slowdown penalty for Joni Heikkinen. Too aggressive at the Stefan Beloff S. And for Joni Heikkinen, that is going to be the race falling away from him. Eriksson is clear now by about 3-4 seconds on circuit. And barring any mistakes, I think Kim Eriksson could get himself home and dry. Ruskola, though, is closing up to Viberg even, at an alarming rate here. Ruskola, of course, had a big incident down at Dunlop earlier on, about a lap ago, and will look to try and use that to his advantage here as they've all come out of pit road. And as you say that, take as much grass as you like, Mr. Viberg there. Viberg just flirting with the Armco on the outside there, getting lucky, you could argue. Of course, racing is, of course, 9 parts skill, 1 part luck, and sometimes the 1 part luck becomes 5 or 6 part luck. That's just the way it works sometimes in terms of racing going on. But they're all opening up these gaps here in the frontier field, but the battles further back, though, are still going on. Morten Kofod here in the 28 just runs a little bit wide then through that section, followed by Patrick Nyborg in the 24 machine in position number 19. Number 19 runs wide there as well in a very difficult part of the section of circuit. So already you can see the pressure going in, gap at the front, 5 seconds now. So the pressure's told, and drivers are now crumbling under said pressure here. So this is a battle of attrition. We have got ourselves from 32 to 25 on the leading lap, but of course there is a difference here between being 1 lap down around this circuit compared to any other. Some may argue it's a little bit more of a humiliation factor to be lapped around the Nordschleife over 45 minutes than, say, anywhere else. Roger Berge still under pressure here from Hans Gunnar Hansen, the 30 versus the 3. Hans Gunnar Hansen tucked in underneath then as they head through this final right-hander before they head onto the Dosjehof. And you feel that Hans Gunnar Hansen is in range here. Worth checking, does Hans Gunnar Hansen have any significant damage on him? Not really. He's kept the car quite clean. So you argue, you look at the driver in front of him, Roger Berge, very similar. Maybe a little bit of scraping on the front left of the vehicle, but not really too much to worry about. They'll both be running at full capacity. Hans Gunnar Hansen tucked right in underneath. Will look to move to the inside of the circuit then as they pass the Taurus entrance. And well, for now, Hans Gunnar Hansen is going to take control of position number 16. They round underneath the Bilstein Bridge, and I don't think there's going to be any opportunity for cutback or opportunity for another move again for Roger Berge. Of course, if he was a little bit more braver through that final section, he might have had a run into turn number 1, but was unable to really make something happen there in this event. Of course, it's 45 minutes on time limit and not on laps in completion. So we will go for 2 more laps then at the end of this event. In fact, Berge gets a fantastic run out to the final corner, moves to the inside then of the circuit, and Hans-Gunnar Hansen, who's not going to fight it because he'll have the inside for turn number 2. In fact, Berge backs out of it into turn number 1 as they play a little game of chicken down into a very difficult corner 1 and corner 2. Just 63 kilometers an hour for Roger Berge as he got himself onto the brakes as things were. Of course, Salverson and Manninen, still that battle going on. Still, you see, Manninen hasn't fallen away then in terms of the racing action here. The battle for P8, P9. Manninen's up 4 positions today. Salverson only up 1, so not really too much between them here as things have happened. Of course, Wiberg has also lost the position to Mikko Ruskola, so Ruskola has managed to make that move down on the Dottinger Hove, which is a very good move compared to him against Wiberg right now. Salverson just heading himself then through that NGK chicane onto the Nordschleife for the 5th time in his event and getting close then in terms of 2 laps to go. Looking to try and break away from Manninen. It was a 9:03.7 meets a 9:02.7, so Salverson found a second on that last lap. Of course, that second did include the overtake of Markku Manninen, but that's a little bit beside the point there in terms of everyone came in and made their pit stop. So still though, the racing continues, and at the front, Kim Eriksson holds that advantage as he heads through Arden first. That gap about 5 seconds, and there is a little tint of wing damage there for Joni Heikkinen on the rear of his vehicle there. So for Joni Heikkinen, not only does he have to try and close that gap down, he's got to do so with a little bit less straight line speed. It's going to be unsettling the vehicle. Maybe just has to adapt that little bit more. Eriksson's vehicle is perfect. Battle for P4 though still going on. Sindre Sestas has been closed by Mikko Nurmi. Nurmi 8:55 last time by, meets an 8:50 from Sestas, but still Mikko Nurmi touched right in underneath. That gap was about 7 seconds, so Sestas even has made a mistake this lap. So Sindre Sestas, that is a disaster in terms of what he needs to do. He was looking for a clean run to the finish. He's not going to get that. He's going to be under pressure from the driver, Mikko Nurmi. And once Nurmi senses blood, he is going to try and attack. He has a little look down to the inside here at this very difficult corner of Bergwerk, I believe that is. I might be having to be corrected on that one. I am going to have to be corrected on that one because I have got that corner wrong. That was Kallenhard there that they went through here as they head through miss, hit, miss. Now looking for that run down into this difficult left-hand corner. Right, then left, right underneath, but not going to get close enough. Of course, that corner was Verseifen. That very difficult corner. Of course, those of you who watched the series of Top Gear remember that there was a disabled bloke driving a BMW, an M3, and there was the crash that he had there. So, Sindre Sestas then under a lot of pressure. The battle for 4th and 5th right now. And if you're asking why is this important, the answer is going to be, well, Sindre Sestas is certainly not a Finnish driver. Mikko Nurmi most certainly is here. So for Nurmi, he's looking to try and make it 1, 2, 3, and 4 for not just Finland, but for Black Star Racing as well. And if he wants to help Black Star Racing, he's got to make that move soon. But of course, this is the part of the circuit where Niki Lauda had his famous incident in 76, I believe it was. I might be wrong, and it might be 77. Of course, that infamous battle with James Hunt over the season. It has to be 76, doesn't it? Because he won the championship in 76. The infamous battle in 1976, the championship went to the wire, and James Hunt took it after pitting with a puncture, finishing P3 at Fuji Speedway. But at the Nordschleife, it's 4th versus 5th, and Sestas now starting to stretch his legs a little bit here. Of course, there's a lot of writing inscribbled all over the circuit here, inscribed, shall I say. And that's one of the key things about this circuit compared to anywhere else. You get all that writing on the circuit, it documents a history of this circuit. You get the memories of every driver that's been there, every fan, every personality that's decided to walk this circuit. And well, in terms of a fantastic circuit, you know, who can argue the heritage and the history? This is the circuit that is the be-all and end-all of my supercar is faster than yours because it's got itself an 8 diesel, whatever you have here. Still though, battles continue, and Wiberg now dropping off the back then of Mikko Ruskola. Ruskola now starting to turn the screw in this battle, and Wiberg's dropped himself about a second and a half back in terms of this one, the 2 versus 29. A shame that battle's going away. Wiberg's running a very consistent run, looking to just get himself home. Salmonson and Manninen, though, that gap's still within about a second and a half, 2 seconds. Manninen starting to fall away also, so now the issue comes down to survival here. Who can get themselves to the end? Some drivers will be running on their own. Other drivers will have to be dealing with a different sort of effect, and that sort of effect will be the drivers around them. Hans-Gunnar Hansen has not lost Roger Berge, though, in the battle for the P14, P15 here. Of course, Hans-Gunnar Hansen is up 9 positions for the day. Roger Berge is up an impressive 7 of his own, so both of them hard charging through the field. In fact, your biggest mover and shaker in the field is arguably Anders Christiansen. Started 27th, up to P18. He's plus 9 for the day as he heads himself towards the carousel section in just a moment's time in terms of the racing. But this race is not over, it's not done, and there have been mistakes on circuit. The likes of Erik Askal has lost the position to, say, Mikael Johansson, who is trying to push back through the field here and make up positions as much as he can. Of course, every little helps in the Tesco adage. You've got to make sure you score as many points as you can. There's a Drivers' Championship to think of, and when you're racing against some of the best drivers in the Porsche, you know, sometimes there will be room for improvement, and other times you will be able to get yourself through in terms of the racing action. For Kim Eriksson, he now gets himself onto the Nürburgring Grand Prix track then, for what I believe will be one of the last times in this event. He crosses the start-finish line 41 minutes and 59 seconds. So there will be 1 lap to go in this event. So for Kim Eriksson, he's just got to survive another 26 kilometers and he is home and he is dry. Here will this number 79 machine, Joni Heikkinen, now 10 seconds back and actually falling into the grasp here is Juuso Haitala. 2 seconds were knocked off in that last lap alone. So for Juuso Haitala, if he gets a move on here, he could really apply the pressure to Heikkinen, and Heikkinen might not have anything to argue back with. Battle for P4, though, going on. Mikko Nurmi still stuck behind Sindre Sestas, and Sestas gets a huge lockup down into turn number 1. That just allows Nurmi to get right back in underneath, just pestering the back of Sestas here. Sindre Sestas, it's about as high as you can finish. For the driver Mikko Nurmi, though, it's all about how you just redeem yourself after losing that position, about trying to probe for a move here or try and probe for a move there, tucked in right underneath, looking for the opportunity then down at Dunlop. Not always the best overtaking opportunity, but again, another lockup from Sestas and almost a shot to the rear bumper we saw there from Mikko Nurmi. So the 76 really applying the pressure, turning the screw, making sure that there is going to be an element of surprise. And actually, he's going to get himself along side by side then as they head towards the Kumo curve. And the squeeze is given there by the driver of Sestas, who gets the advantage there through the one-line suits all right left-hander as they head through, I believe it's Warstein, the curve, now that they've named it. Not really too many issues there, but the encouraging thing is moves are being made here in this battle, and you're seeing Sestas trying to make something happen here. Nurmi's trying to make a move pass through. Sestas is being resilient in his defense. They have about half a minute back to Ruskola, so even if they do damage their vehicles, probably you are going to see them finish ahead of drivers like Ruskola in the 29 machine. So in terms of that battle, that one is also going to continue on. Hans-Gunnar Hansen is still ahead there of Roger Berge, who takes a little bit of a second bite at the cherry down in towards turn number 1. Not really too many worries in terms of that one, but for the moment, your race leader now heads himself towards Swedish Cross and Arenberg. Of course, Swedish Cross is an anglicized name that we are using in terms of that one. Its better name is Swedencruise. There, Swedish Cross there as they head into Arenberg there. Does the driver of Kim Eriksson. Eriksson's just stayed calm. He's just kept himself out of trouble. That's all you need to do around this circuit. Sometimes pace is everything, certainly around certain circuits. But what use is pace if you can't make a move happen? And actually, as you talk about pace, Mikko Nurmi here as he heads onto that section of circuit now starts to try and apply the pressure, turn the screw, make something happen here. And well, for the moment, is unable to get close enough into Arenberg. It's difficult, and again another lockup from Sindre Setstars there. So he's now struggling on the tyres. Every time he hits those brakes harder, he starts flat spotting that tyre. He starts worrying about what that tyre is going to do. The personality of the tyre changes. It feels different. And every time you lock your brakes, you hit the same point again and again, and it makes it worse. Through compression, they both go underfoot then here. Right, left, long looping left before hitting the right again and heading towards Nextgetsfeld and Kallenhard. So Sindre Setstars just still trying to hold that defense. Maybe isn't going to be under pressure in this part of the circuit, but certainly will be under pressure here in terms of the racing action as we are heading towards 8 o'clock in UK time, 7 o'clock GMT as things stand. So for Sindre Setstars, right on the outside is the driver Mikko Nurmi, trying everything there through Kallenhard to make something happen. Isn't going to be able to get that move, and is just searching, looking every which way for an opportunity to get things going as they head through hit, miss, hit. Not going to be able to make that move as they head now down onto the brakes. Right, then left again, and again tucks right in underneath, and a little bit of a bump again from driver Nurmi. He's desperate to get through, but is going to be unable to make something happen of this. So now this is where the circuit looks very similar to the ending of the circuit here. This right-hander up the hill, right-hander, boarding's on the left-hand side. Not really too many worries there, but for Nurmi, he's only really got 2 opportunities to make this move happen, and one of them comes after this. They've just headed through ladder links. Bergwerk is now the next corner of the agenda. Right-hander, get yourself onto the power as quickly as you can, and now get yourself tucked in underneath in the toe. For Nurmi, he's got to make this move, and he's got to make it now, or he's got to wait for the Dottinger Hove to make something happen of himself. He's close and taking all of the track to try and maximize his run, but is just unable to really use the slipstream to his advantage here. He's got himself about 3 kilometers an hour here in this section of lefts and rights. Bravery corner coming up next, and not going to be close enough to really make anything happen just yet. So for Sindre Setstars, he holds on just for a little bit longer in terms of the racing action. Not really too much to worry about there. Salverson is away now from Mannerlin. He is not going to be close enough. And, well, it is going to be a shame here to see a few cars unable to make it home to the end. Roger Burge, though, still on the back of Hans Gunnar Hansen. We will keep an eye on that one then towards the end of this event. They're heading through hit, miss, and hit as well. So we'll keep an eye on Setstars and Nurmi just for the moment because they head themselves out of the carousel, looking for Hoheak then. This left-right chicane, so difficult because it's blind and you think you can carry more speed than you can before you then hit another very difficult 127 km an hour right-hander for Sindre Setstars. There's he now looks to try and apply the pressure, run away, shall we say. Nurmi looking to try and put the pressure on even, as I correct myself, but still not really too much time to make anything happen. It's going to be all going to stay calm at the front of your top 3. The podium is pretty much decided, barring a very late mistake here in this one. But the battle for P4 continues. Setstars still under pressure there. Nurmi just trying to just force a mistake out of nothing, really. Like fairy dust, even, you could argue. Just looking for that one bit of magic to make something happen. And for Nurmi, he is running out of opportunities to start making these effects and these dreams a reality for the Black Star 1, 2, 3, and 4. But is tucked in right underneath as they head towards the Bell Fest. For Kim Eriksson, though, he heads himself up onto the Dottinger Hove for the very last time in the 3rd round of the Nordic Challenge. We'll keep an eye on Setstars here as he looks to try and get himself towards that Dottinger Hove. Close is Nurmi. He goes deep onto the brakes, but isn't able to really capitalize as he heads then for that second carousel all over the back, and will have to back out of it then through this section, but we'll have a fantastic run to make something happen. But to Kim Eriksson now, underneath the Bilstein Bridge, and he will break the dominance of Joni Heikkinen, and he did it through strategy alone. So for Kim Eriksson, who forced the error out of Heikkinen, he proved that Heikkinen is human. but it's still going to be Black Star at the front. 2 corners to go. Kim Eriksson rounds the final corner and will take victory at the circuit of the G Samsträcka layout of the Nürburgring. What a fantastic race result for Kim Eriksson. When all is said and done, Joni Heikkinen will finish in second. Haitala in third. Sestas holding on to fourth then from Nurmi. Nurmi closing in. Needs to find something more or go for a very, very late lunge. Won't have much track to work with coming out to the final corner. He is very close, and there was a big twitch from Sestas then onto the brakes as they headed through the lefts and rights. But Sestas is a lot more comfortable through this final section. Nurmi's going to give it everything and a little bit more. He almost taps the barrier on exit, but it's going to be too little, too late. Maybe needed one more lap to make something happen, but for Nurmi, he'll have to settle then for 5th position when all happened at the very, very end of this one. Of course, the last few cars will be coming towards the line. Hans Gunnar Hansen and Roger Berge. That battle still going on. If Berge can keep himself then relatively close, he might have his own opportunity in terms of the battles then. Of course, these drivers about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes back. They just head themselves through to Stefan Beloff S. So, Berge looking to apply the pressure. Berge looking for one more position to get himself up into position 14. Hans Gunnar Hansen in the 3. Needs a good mini carousel. Gets a good mini carousel. So, he has got a very good opportunity to just hold on to things. Needs a good run out of this section. I think Berge is looking to be a little bit more aggressive coming up onto the Dottinger Hove. The gap about 0.5 of a second maybe. That can be closed down this straight. Just needs to run right side into the slipstream. Maybe a little bit of weaving left and right might be helpful for the driver of Hans Gunnar Hansen, but difference is 275 meets 278. That's another 4 miles an hour that is being won by Roger Berge as he closes let's get some words out here, shall we, ladies and gentlemen. Tourist entrance on the right hand side. I was going to say industrial entrance there because of the industry Farten layout circuit, but not close enough. Is the driver of Roger Berge for the moment. Needs the perfect run coming out to the final corner, but I think they're going to stay at line astern for the moment. So in terms of that battle is going to be all she wrote for the end of those ones. P14 and P15, they stay pretty similar in the end, don't they? So, let's get ourselves then some unofficial results for the moment. The last of the cars are trying to cross themselves over the line, but Kim Eriksson then will take the victory overall. A 13-second victory here at the Nordschleife over teammate Joni Heikkinen, who is beaten for the first time in this season. Juuso Haitala will finish in third, with Sindre Sestas finishing in fourth. Mikko Nurmi in position number 5. Mikko Ruskola will finish in 6th position, with Wilhelm Wiberg in 7th. It's Kim Savensen finishing 8th, with Markku Manner in 9th, and Jonas Vastamäki rounding out the top 10. Porsche Burns will finish in 11th position, with Dali Jankovic in 12th. 13th for Robert Eriksson, with Hans Gunnar Hansen finishing in 14th. Roger Berge, P15 overall. Patrick Nyborg is P16, with Matthias Norling P17. Anders Christiansen is finishing 18th overall here today. Erling Bachmer will come across the line in 19th position, maybe? Or maybe he is already out of the event. Mikael Johansson as well, yet to finish, along with Eric Askedal. And the cars that failed to finish here, the likes of Morten Kofod here, Carl Fredrik Herzog, Telgard Tonseth Beveren, Jonas Puheka, Bengston, Sundqvist, Nielsen, and Victor Mulberg as well. For the time being, we are just going to step aside here. When we come back, post-race coverage here of what is going to be this brilliant Nordic challenge after these few messages. Don't go away.
Åh, vad tråkigt. Det här måste du fixa på en gång, annars blir det dyrt.
Steinsprut får du uansett hvordan du kjører. Ris bilglass fikser steinsprut kostnadsfritt ved kasko eller delkasko. Ring 09009 eller besøk bilglass.no.
Welcome to the post-race show here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Nordic Challenge has just about finished itself up, and well, it was a very comfortable victory in the end for the driver of Kim Eriksson. Kim, a fantastic victory for you today. You did it all on strategy there. It came down onto pit road where the difference was made between you and Joni, and of course you are the first person in this 4-race season to have beaten Joni Heikkinen.
Hello, yes. I hadn't had a lot of time to practice this week. Actually, just today we had a little Black Star meetup at the local racetrack. We were watching some racing, and I just got home when the open qualifying started, and that was my first few laps for this week, so I was a little bit rusty, and then the qualifying didn't go quite as I'd hoped. I should have easily out-qualified Heikkinen, but I just failed and couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it then in qualifying, but of course the race pace was certainly up there, trying to force an issue earlier on, maybe try and force the error, but it was seemingly after the pit stop window that you started to apply assert your dominance and turn the screw, shall we say. An incident for Heikkinen dropped him back about 5 seconds after a slowdown at the Belfast, and from there it seemed plain sailing for you.
Yeah, the first few laps of the race I had tried something a little bit different for the setup, since well, I didn't have a lot of time to test things, so it was a little bit on the loose side, and the first few laps when I was behind Heikkinen, I was struggling with the car to actually push it to the limit, and that was also part of the problems in the start, that I let Heikkinen get too far away. But after the pit stops, I took really tight fuel just on the edge, and I managed to jump Heikkinen on the pits, and well, then I just wanted to prove a point that I was the faster of the two, so I tried to hot lap some laps in the end there, just to I don't know.
Yeah. I can imagine trying to play the Sebastian Vettel card in the final stage of the race is always one that every driver wants to do. But of course, Spa-Francorchamps in a week's time in the final race of the season. For you though, Kim, do you feel you could have challenged for this title if you didn't miss Zandvoort, for example?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't think I could have beaten Heikkinen at Zandvoort, and well, don't know about Bathurst, but definitely missing Zandvoort took me out of the championship, I think. So I'm just driving to have fun.
Certainly are. Then, of course, with a race victory, any shout-outs you'd like to give out to anyone you'd like to thank?
I would like to thank, of course, our team Black Star Racing and our sponsors, Joel Real Timing and Nukkarebo Graphic Design.
No worries there. Kim Eriksson, then a race victory here at the Nürburgring, proving that he can be a Nürburgring specialist. We've managed to catch up with the driver in third position overall in the racing. That is Juuso Hietala. Juuso, it was a quiet one for you. Didn't really do too much in terms of the battles behind, and you found yourself a pocket of air quite quickly.
Yeah, it was just a kind of a leisurely Saturday drive for me. I was hoping that the pairs in front of me and behind me would start battling for obvious reasons, but that didn't really happen, so I just did some hot lapping.
Tried to indeed, and of course, in the final stage of the event, there was maybe a slight suggestion that you might have caught Joni Heikkinen up. He seemed to be slowing down a little bit in his last couple of laps, and with you being only 5 seconds back on the final lap, did you feel that you had a chance to maybe have a slither of a hope at second place?
Yeah, actually I did have a faint glimmer of hope, but so I just pushed a bit harder, but it wasn't enough, so got third, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Certainly are, and well, Spa-Francorchamps comes along in 1 week's time, and Spa is a very difficult circuit, you could argue, to set up the vehicle. It's got very distinct different types of types of layout, shall we say. So in that case, would you use a setup very similar to the Nordschleife in the fact that you have different areas of the circuit that you can exploit to your advantage, shall you say?
I don't really know yet. We did some testing in the official Spa week at the Porsche Cup, and found the track really difficult for this car. But the night times would help with the grip problems we had, so we'll see.
Certainly will indeed. Jussa Haitala then coming home in third position, doing a very good job of things right now. We're going to bring in two drivers then at the same time here. We're going to bring in the drivers who finished 4th and 5th in this battle, Mikko Nurmi and Sindre Sestas. Sindre, I'm going to come to you first because you had a very resilient defense to be done in the final couple of moments of that race, and it seemed for a lot of the time that battle between the pair of you seemed pretty much that it was going to go on forever if you put it on, say, for 24 hours and not just 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was a good race. I spun going out onto the Nordschleife on lap 5. I got wheel damage, so my wheel was pointing 45 degrees to the left, but I managed to hold on and come home in 4th in the end.
Certainly did come home in 4th position and did a good job of holding things off in the end. Mikko, P5 for you. It wasn't quite a 1, 2, 3, 4 for Black Star here today, but you seem to come across a Sindre Sestas that didn't want to let anybody go past him. And, well, passing is one thing, catching is another, in the words of Murray Walker. Did you feel that you had a great opportunity to pass at any given moment in that battle with him?
Towards the end, after I had met with the wall, I had lost some top speed and I didn't get any acceleration on the 6th gear. So I'll like on this track, it feels like the only places you can really pass is like after straights, and I didn't get any toe, so it was just trying to push hard and give him a hard time, and maybe he'll be making another mistake, but
didn't quite happen in the end. But for the pair of you, you know, it has been a good season. Sindre, you missed out at Bathurst. Mikko, you've had yourself your own instance, but both of you have shown that you have a pace to be up there at the front, fighting for pretty high points in this championship. Do you feel that maybe with maybe a little bit of luck going your way that you'd be up a little bit higher?
For me, I'm just driving this for fun. This is my last possible race because I've been driving in karting and the Norwegian GT series in real life, so I'm just driving for fun.
And Mikko?
to be honest, I haven't really, like, all of the tracks on this series have been either new or just tracks that, like Bathurst and Nordschleife, I have never really enjoyed that much. I don't really like long laps, and this was actually my first race around here, so, well, it, like, at least it felt like, you know, this could actually be fun. So, thanks for the experience, Sindre.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I see a bit of camaraderie between two drivers. Mikko Nurmi and Sindre Sestas finishing home in 4th and 5th position. Of course, with Sindre's expeditions into Norwegian GT Championship, we wish him all the best of luck in that one. Actually, just very quickly in the quickfire interviews to catch with Jonas Vastamaki here. Jonas, you had a little bit of a moment heading up towards the likes of the Lauda links.
Yeah, after the pit stops, Kim was catching me behind and put a lot of pressure, and yeah, too early on the throttle and spun around.
Too early on the throttle, but still, position number 10 after all of that, you have to feel is a very good result for you, considering how high you were up in the championship to begin with. You know, do you feel that the consistency of points that you've been getting and those consistent finishes attribute for quite a lot for you in this season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was only 2 rounds and I was shared for third, so definitely Normi and Teitinen having their own problems helped me a lot, with I having consistent finishes and them having problems, but we'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes indeed. Jonas Vastamarki coming home in position number 10 overall. And finally, if I can just look through my results to try and find where our last competitor finished, the answer is 2 laps down for the number 1 machine of Carl Frederick Herzog. Carl, it's a day that ended not the way you'd like. 2 laps down when all was said and done.
Yeah, my problem here is that if I make a mistake, I never go slightly off track or just brush the wall. I always smack hard into it. So, required repairs and game over.
Certainly is, and well, you can argue that this circuit is fierce for a reason by the fact that of your non-finish, but arguably you could say that next week is going to be a little bit easier for you with the likes of, say, Spa-Francorchamps, a lot more open, a lot of runoff area. Do you feel that you might be needing to exploit the runoff area after this event?
Well, it's quite a nice thought, right? But we have an instant limit, so we need to actually pay attention on Spa as well.
Oh yeah, fair point, fair point. My apologies there on that one. But of course, you know, the season's been fantastic for quite a lot of drivers. Do you want to care to comment on the team's championship and the way that, you know, maybe certain countries haven't been living up to expectation?
First, I'm quite impressed by the speed of the Finns. At least here today with 8:15 in qualification and stuff. And also I see that, well, it's a 2-horse race between 2 Finns. But there are a few others from Norway at least that can do well. We saw Sindre on 4th today, and we hope, well, perhaps not overall, but to make 1 podium in the last race.
He certainly does hope indeed. Carl Frederick Herzog non-finishing this race here this afternoon. Of course, it's nice to see all the teams looking to battle, and maybe some expectations aren't being met by some and some are over-exceeding in others. That's just naturally the way that racing works. But unfortunately, that's all we're going to have time for here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. A huge thank you to all the drivers and to all the teams as well. I want to also give a shout out to Team Vikings here. Of course, Team Vikings, one of the sponsors here of this series. And Team Vikings is a Nordic endurance racing team that is always looking for nice racing challenges and drivers interested in endurance racing. So Team Vikings, there's a little shout out for you if you want to go and join them. But for the time being, I have been #DoYouMindJakeSperry. That's been Hugo Louis behind the cameras. And well, in just 40 minutes time, the Indy 500 on iRacing is going to be going. So make sure you catch that one on iRacing's YouTube, iRacing Live, and of course brought to you by RaceSpotTV. Join the likes of Will Vincent, Cisco Scaramusa, and Randy Chenner for that one. But that won't be all of your action here on the weekend, because we've got a triple header on Sunday. The likes of the iRacing Grand Prix Series from Brands Hatch. Join myself and Connery for that. The V8 Super Truck Series moves a little bit further over to Silverstone. Join Francisco Scaramusa and myself for that. And of course, the finale to the Skip Barber 2K World Cup at Watkins Glen. Join Will Vincent, Cameron Walsh, and myself for that one. But for the time being, that's been a fantastic race at the Nordic Challenge. It's a 2-way fight at the top of the standings for the Drivers' Championship. But Finland have proved once again that they know how to win. Good night.